Welcome to Desiderius Ripple podcast. In this season, we are diving into learnings from the Leadership for Green Transition, a training where we explored sustainability beyond environmental lens and as something deeply connected to how we lead, communicate, make decisions, and sustain youth organizations over time. Today, I'm excited to be joined by two youth workers from Romania, Andreea and Medea. Andreea has over 4 years of experience coordinating projects at local, regional, and national levels, including youth mobility programs, trainings, and social inclusion initiatives. Her deep understanding of non-formal education and experience with Erasmus Plus and the European Solidarity Corps makes her a valuable voice on youth work and intercultural learning. Medeea is a warm and communicative young person with a natural talent for connecting with people. Passionate about music, learning, and intercultural exchange, she brings fresh perspective and genuine curiosity to every conversation, making her a natural fit for exploring topics around youth engagement and non-formal education. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to our space. Now, I would like to ask with probably a few questions to both of you. It's been, I think it's been roughly a month since the training, and during the training we explored different topics. I mean, one of them was sustainability, another one was leadership, and we also explored it as one concept as well as sustainable leadership and what it takes to build sustainable youth organization. So one of the first questions that I would like to ask both of you, did you arrive with a clear idea of what sustainability means to the training? And did the definition shift or expanded or somehow altered for you during the training?
I think I can answer from my experience a little bit. I would say that in general, I have a good and a clear idea about sustainability in general by all the, let's say, fields that we can think about it. But in the same time, my definition shifted and also expanded after the training, because I was thinking, and usually when you think after something is finishing, for me at least it's taking me 1 or 2 weeks to take in everything that happened during a project. I realized that there is still a way to actually use everything that we are doing, everything that we are working in a sustainable way that can also impact the life of our people that we are working with, the life of our teams and everything. Because I was getting a little bit tired of the idea of having everything with sustainability inside, like it was this idea of greenwashing that was coming and coming. It was like this new trend, and everybody was trying to have green projects, sustainable ways of dealing with things. But in the same time, it was not actually impacting that much. But I would say after the training, I had a little bit of time to think about it, to connect with different thoughts and ideas that I have in my mind, and also the ones that we discussed in our settings when we had our sessions, and also in our, let's say, settings outside of the sessions when we were all together with the rest of the participants. So I would say that for me, actually, it expanded quite a lot to the point that I see that there is still a little bit of the future when it comes to this type of integration of the sustainability in the projects that we are doing and the programs that we are having.
Thank you, Andrea. Also, thank you so much for pointing out quite an important issue, I believe, which is like a general exhaustion that can be also visible in youth workspaces and civil society in general. When it comes to sustainability as a term, as a concept, and as a space for discussions, because it has been used so aggressively, I mean, in our space, but also, by businesses, by governments. So at certain points, you might also think, but can we probably stop talking about the sustainability? Because, and I think this is something that we also brought at the training, that, you see it everywhere in news, in guidelines, in textbooks. So it was also one of our, I think, main goals is to show that, there is a sustainability as a term and as a concept and as a living thing, which is way closer to us than something that is oftentimes portrayed and talked about in the bigger spaces. Thank you. Medea, what about you?
So for me, I really didn't know what sustainability was before the project, and I only had a vague idea that it was somehow related to protecting the environment, but I didn't fully understand what it actually means or how broad the concept is. I wasn't aware that sustainability also includes economical and social aspects, not just environmental protection. But I think after working on this project, I learned that sustainability is about meeting our present needs without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. And overall, the project helped me become more, let's say, aware and responsible. And it changed the way that I think about my impact on the planet and the society.
Wonderful. Thank you. Also, thank you so much for highlighting this idea of visioning and the long-term thinking that comes to sustainability, as you mentioned, thinking about the present needs, but also about the needs and the spaces that we create for future generations and also people who will come after us in the spaces that we create and enable right now. Another question that I would like to ask to both of you, and this is related to something that Andreea, you mentioned in your answer. You said, there were some ideas, thoughts, and reflections that were emerging in the sessions, but also after the sessions, sometimes probably in informal gatherings and probably just the space, after the session for you to have a space of your own to sit with the ideas. So my question would be, what kind of conversations during the training, either in the sessions or probably in informal gatherings, stayed with you after the training ended?
For me, I would let a little bit Medea reply to this one firstly, because I'm also curious about her answer, because we didn't have the chance to talk that much about what stayed with her, even though we will have some activities in the future together. Because for me, it's more on the perspective of, let's say, a bit of more inspirational, but I want to hear also from the young soul that I brought with me.
Okay, so I think that the conversation that stayed with me after the project was um, I don't know, we talked about how everyday choices actually affects us, the people, and also the planet. And I really remembered that the activity that we had with Branko, with the leader that we want to be, and that one remains in a special place in my heart because that's where I discovered how leader can be and how can implement on the others. And also I think for me all the conversations stayed because they were really important for me and for my future, I think, also.
Right. This is beautiful. I mean, this is the only thing that we can hope as facilitators to participants, saying that all conversations stayed with us. But Medea, I also would like to follow up on what you just responded, sort of diving more into your individual responses and into your individual experiences and areas of engagement. And I would also then follow up with Andreea. You mentioned that one of the sessions that stood out to you was a session with Branko on leadership, which from the conversations that we had, I see that it also resonated with a lot of other participants. In regards to this session that stood out to you on leadership, what kind of leadership inspires you the most at this point in your journey?
I think captain maybe, I would say, because it's a person that can guide, mentor, and also take the lead when it needs. And I also think that I'm one of this kind of leader in my life and also in my activities by day to day. From my experiences, you can just be a leader that you have to tell people about something and then disappear like the other leader did. And I also like to be there with people and guide them and tell them not exactly what to do, but also to help them to understand what they have to do to get a better work together and to improve our team, let's say.
Thank you so much for mentioning quite important aspect of leadership, which you mentioned, the accountability, and what you say, not just disappearing, but being there, and probably particularly when other people need you the most in certain situations and context. And I also want to sort of bring it to the context and your current position in youth work. You're just starting your journey in the field, which is, I mean, it was very exciting to also have participants like you on the training, and also to see your active participation and engagement was quite heartwarming, but also inspiring for both of us as facilitators. What have you learned so far from observing experienced leaders in your community, like Andreea, which I believe, and you did mention this during the training. I remember we were asking a question. I think it was probably in my session when I asked to name you a leader, a person who inspires you with their leadership in your life. And you mentioned Andreea. So yeah, my question would be, what have you learned from people like Andreea?
That's a very good question. Yes, it's my starting journey in these projects. Was my first actually, it was my first training, and it was very interesting. And the things that I want to thank Andreea and I learned from her, it's that if you have a dream or maybe you don't know what to do, you just need to have some people to put you back on your way. And I think that's what she did to me, because when I met her and she told me about everything on Erasmus, when I had questions, she also replied very fast and never let me down when I was like, I don't know what to do right now because I'm new. Maybe I'm gonna do some mistakes. I'm afraid. And she said, no, it's okay. I'm here with you. I can help you with whatever you need. And I think a person like this, it's very important to have in your life, because when you are new at something that you don't know, but you want to experience and you want to improve yourself and do it in the good way, a person like Andreea, it's more than you need. I think all of us, I think they should have an Andreea in their lives.
That sounds beautiful. Thank you, Medea, for sharing. I would like to sort of bring you into this conversation at this point. I think it was wonderful what Medea mentioned about you, but also like seeing your dynamic, during the training and the way you showed up to Medea. As you mentioned, Medea, it was your first training, which was also beautiful to see. And I think also Medea is sort of like a testament to your agency, in youth engagement when it comes in your own community. In this regard, I would like to ask you, because you also operate in rural communities and a lot of your activism comes in this setting, and youth engagement can be quite challenging in these areas. My question to you would be, what has worked in your experience so far? And clearly you have some success, even following Medea's journey and seeing how inspired and committed she is following your lead.
Well, I am actually all the time answering quite differently to this question. Well, firstly, I would like to say thank you, Medea. For me, it's still hard to accept when people are talking so high about me, because I'm just a human as well, like everybody else. But it's also the proof that something that I'm doing, it's good how I'm doing it. Regarding the rural communities, actually, and this is also connected with the conversations that we had during the training and also after the sessions were ending, because I was actually thinking quite a lot about it and I was having some discussions, because in the rural areas and in the communities that are not even fully rural, like secluded and further from bigger cities or everything, like the ones who are even closer to the city, it's a little bit hard to have the engagement of youngsters, also because the majority of things are happening in the cities. Or if the city is too small, things are not happening or they are happening too late. And a piece of advice that I like to give to everybody that I work with, because somehow I'm always connected with people that started from a rural setting. It's just to remember how you were in the beginning, just to remember that maybe at some point you were also this individual that didn't have so many opportunities. A little bit of the background story will be that I was actually, I grew up and I was living in a small village that was close to a small city. And during my younger years, we didn't have that many opportunities. I mean, there were some opportunities happening, but nobody was talking about Erasmus. Nobody was talking about Youth in Action, which was the program before. Like, nobody was talking about the opportunities that you have that can also mean so much to you and can bring you so further. And of course, I did a lot of mistakes in the beginning because I was focusing, after I started working fully with different organizations, I was mainly focusing on the people who were from the cities that I was working with, it was easier for me also to just gather them, to do activities with them, to prepare some things. But I would say that for the last 3 years, I'm focusing more on smaller communities. I still don't know how to engage them after, projects are finishing, or after they go to universities, or after they move out. I still don't know exactly how to bring back the passion in the rural side. What I saw a lot, it's that you shouldn't forget that you are actually basically similar to the person that is in front of you. Even though it's a youngster who maybe doesn't know as much as you know and maybe doesn't have that much experience in life, you still can learn quite a lot of things from the people that you're meeting. And you shouldn't think that you know everything and you can do everything. You should listen to the voice of the people that you are working with. And usually, slowly, everything gets coagulating and it's starting to work, especially when you treat everything like a small, like more of a big community, like a big family that everybody's working and helping each other. I mean, I would be really not such a great person to say that a lot of things that happen, it happened just because I made a lot of connections with youngsters in projects, and now we consider each other more like friends, mentor to each other and everything. So I would say that mainly focus on how you can build a connection with the community and with the youngsters. And don't forget that you are also there to learn from them, not only they should learn from you.
Yeah, this is such an important reminder for us, and I think especially for us as people who create learning environments is to realize that we're also there to learn from them. And Andreea, like just a small sub question to what you mentioned. You mentioned the difficulty and sometimes the frustration of thinking how to keep engaging people after the project ends, and this is something that we've been thinking, reflecting, questioning in our own practice, how to thoughtfully engage into this follow-up space and stage. What you mentioned after this, you mentioned creating the connections with the people where it almost feels like you're a family. Do you think that this is something that helps you actually to do this follow-up and sort of like help people to stay engaged, creating these interpersonal connections? Or do you think that there are certain limitations to what we can do about this?
I think there are also some certain limitations. I mean, mainly it's also connected with your style, also as a leader and as a person. Like, it's connected also to your personality, because some people are not so connected with the others. Like, a lot of youngsters that I met, they like a lot to work together when there is an activity or a project, or when there is something, but in the extra free time, they don't interact that much to the level that they are doing during the activities, which is totally fine. Others don't actually search, they're not searching for this type of connection with the others. So I think you should be mainly flexible with the people that you're working. In my case, I know for sure that for me it's working when I get closer to the people that I'm working with. It has a lot of downsides in the same time, because especially when you get close to the people that you prepare to do things, you wish to help them more, you wish to do more things, and you need to learn how to put some barriers, because you'll get to the point that you'll realize you cannot save everything that is happening, and you cannot be in 1,000 places in the same time. So we should basically find a balance between what is happening in our work and how much we can create connections with each other. And we should also find a way to actually put some, not barriers, I will call them a little bit like in a bad way sometimes when you think about barriers, but more like some grounding rules when you work with the others. And also, I think everybody, especially the people that are similar with me and they like to create connections with everybody that they are working, we should learn that when somebody is saying no, it's not always a no that is connecting to your idea or to the things that you want to do. It's always connected to what others have also in their personal lives and also the things that are happening. because you cannot help a person that in that moment cannot be helped because of the things that are happening in their life or on the different directions that they want to go. So I would say it's a mix of creating like a bigger family. And like in families, not all the relatives are really close to each other. You know that you need to help each other. You know that you should do that, not because somebody is pushing you and is telling you do it. It's more in the idea that it's coming from your heart, like the empathy that you have to some relatives. But in the same time, you don't need to have that much level of talking every day, being every day with each other, creating everything together. I don't know if I'm making myself truly clear with this one, but it's like different levels, I would say.
Right. No, you totally do. Also, what I heard in your response is the value and the importance of being authentic. As you mentioned, it does work in your case and sort of probably with your presence and your personality, naturally connecting to people and building those interpersonal connections. In some other cases, probably for other people or in different contexts, it might not work. So it's really important for us to realize, where our true power lays in whatever we are doing. And also, as you mentioned, this balance of respecting different aspects that comes into building and sustaining the communities of people around us, and particularly young people that we work with. Andreea, another question that I would like to ask to you, you mentioned that, you started your journey in a youth work with a lot of different engagements, and you got to work with different communities and across different cities. And you now have quite a fascinating and commendable record and, expertise in the field. So with the projects that you've written and led and worked on in the Erasmus Plus space, what in your opinion makes a project truly sustainable?
I would say the people involved. Actually, because when you think about sustainability, it's these two different ways of having a definition for it. It's firstly the sustainability part during the project, when everybody's helping everybody, you're trying not to waste that much, you're trying to find new creative ways for you to be more eco-friendly. But I'm thinking more on the idea of sustainability on long term. I was thinking of this with a lot of people that I work with. Actually, yesterday I had a discussion about this with two of my partners that I'm working with. It's mainly like not to have a project that is just there, like random projects, and every year to have a new focus. It's to create your own topic that you are going around and don't change it. Not in the idea that you cannot experience with other things, but mainly for people to know that you are known for this specific thing. You can also incorporate new subjects that you are approaching. You can also create new ideas. You can bring them, but you should actually focus to your core, to the reason that you started everything. Because if a project is ending, it's only ending if you don't talk about it anymore, or if you don't try to do like a sequel of the project. Because if you want to truly have something for longer and create more impact with it, you can have it to different ways. And even let's say you will not have it with the same partners or in the same settings, you can also recreate it in another way based on how people are working. Because I would say that it's more than just the sustainability of a youth organization, it's the sustainability of the youth worker from the organization. Because also we as youth workers, we choose our main areas of interest. We choose if there is something that we like more, if it's something that we would like to explore. And if we have the option to work with multiple partners in different kind of settings, we can bring a little bit of this core to every project that we have, at least the main idea. Even if it's the smallest thing, it can become your, let's say, you as a youth worker or of you as an organization, and it can go bigger after this because you will have, you will be known for this. And you will know that you can also find many more things that are happening. If we go a little bit also on the spiritual sides, let's say, sometimes what you are searching for, it's exactly in your face. And when you start searching for something and you start focusing only on that something, you will have many more options from which to choose from.
Yeah, I do love the fact that you mentioned which I believe from what I'm hearing is this component of consistency as part of sustainability, committing and also being able to deliver and to know, as you said, like just choose and commit to a certain area. And as you mentioned, as youth workers, we have sometimes this opportunity to choose which areas, which topics we would like to work on and focus and probably grow in. And I'm also remembering this is something that we brought in one of the sessions, which was about the long-term visioning sustainable change. The session was called, and we were talking there. If you remember, at a certain point during the game, you were asked to come up with a practice to make your organization more sustainable, but only on the terms that you would be able to carry it for more than 3 months. Which again was sort of like, feeding to this idea that if you cannot keep up with something, it is probably not going to drive your sustainability. So thank you so much for reminding us about the importance of consistency in this. And at the same time, talking about this, like when I started talking about the session and sort of the practices that we ask participants and you in that session to come up. Medea, I would like to ask you in this regard, what is one practice or perhaps skill you want to strengthen after this training?
Well, I think one practice that I would like to improve after the training, it's being more consistent with reducing waste in my daily life. As we had in the training, the vegan food, maybe I would like to plan my purchases more carefully to avoid food waste, to choose products with less packaging and support more sustainable brands, I think. And I also want to be more mindful about resourcing items instead of immediately replacing them. And the training, I think, made me understand that small, consistent actions are just as important as biggest changes, because improving this habit will help me and all of us to become more responsible and align my and our daily behavior with the principles of sustainability that I learned about.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And also thank you for reminding that, it starts with small steps, but again, like consistent ones that you can commit to, and probably also something that you mentioned, the word habit, something that you can turn into the habit. And talking about the food, I think our chef would be terrific to hear that, we have participants who committed to more conscious food choices and eating habits as well. All right. So probably I would ask you, two of you, a final question. What does sustainable leadership mean to you at this point or after the training or in the context that you're finding yourself right now? It might be in one word, one sentence, however it feels for you to give you an answer.
Well, I think I will answer first to this question. And I think to me, sustainability leadership means taking the responsibility for creating positive changes and guiding others toward more sustainable choices, because it's not just about knowing what sustainability is, but about actively promoting it through actions, decisions, and I think attitudes. And I think that a sustainability leader sets an example by living according to the sustainability values, but also I think it goes beyond personal behavior, our personal behavior, and it means that inspiring and encouraging others to think differently, to question harmful habits, and to work together for long-term solutions. And as I said, for me, sustainability leadership also means thinking about the future, not just the present, because I think we had to think about our future generations, not just about ourselves. And it's about making decisions that balance environmental protection, social fairness, and economical development. And I think a true sustainability leader listens, collaborates, and looks for, innovative ways to solve problems while keeping their well-being on the future generations in mind. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing this quite a holistic overview of what it means to lead sustainably and also what comes and makes the sustainable leadership. Andreea, what about you?
I would say that sustainable leadership, it's mainly, for me at least, it's a small act and a small thing that you commit to do every day. But regarding the way that you are bringing your work. Like if you find a focus that you want to have for the future, if you find some ideas that you want to have, like you create a bigger plan in your mind, you focus on the goal that you have in the end, but every day you're doing one step toward it. Because sometimes, especially for a lot of people in our generation, you tend to think in the big idea, in the broad idea, but you choose a really, really, really big achievement, let's say, and then you can be taken down easily when you share it with others, when you tell them, I want to do this and that, and they are looking at you like, okay, but it's too much, you cannot do it. And then you just start to think a little bit that maybe this is not the way that I should do it. But if you choose, regarding if you are working in an organization, or if you're working as a youth worker, or you're just a person who's enjoying in general having opportunities brought to you, you should focus mainly through the way that you are working to leave something behind, but like small steps every day. Like you should have a little bit of a mind challenge with not a defined deadline, but you know that every day you're taking one step toward it. Like Medea was also saying, with the things that we learn in the training, even the idea of having one sustainable meal every day, it's one step that we are having, or once a week or once a month. It is still something. Like sustainability in leadership, it doesn't mean something that you can change in drastically. It's something that you're learning it slowly as a habit for you to grow it and to bring more to it.
Thank you. I think actually both your answers very nicely complemented each other. You know, Medea, you reflected and shared more like a what perspective, you know, what comes into the sustainable leadership. And Andreea, I think you shared very nicely and elaborated actually what are the hows, how we can lead this sustainable leadership into the practice. So thank you so much to both of you for your answers, and also for being part of this conversation and for bringing the ripple into your work. We are certainly most excited, Medea, for you to see growing into this space, and obviously having such a strong leadership example in Andreea is certainly quite helpful, and also I'm pretty much sure inspiring, because we also loved seeing Andreea in the training leading the conversation and also shaping and providing a lot of nuggets of wisdom when it comes to Erasmus Plus space and to project writing. So thank you so much, Andreea, also for shaping the learning that we had during the training, and just for two of you to shape the youth work space of yours and your community. We are very much looking forward to see the journeys. It was very inspiring to hear about your work and also about your reflections. Thank you so much for sharing generously. And to our listeners, thank you for being part of our space. Stay with us as we continue this series of Desiderius Ripple, where we explore how learning spaces turn into lasting change.